Randall, this is Sandy from the Bennett Center. How are you? When we have a pest problem, the teacher will call it in to me, and then I will call the Office of Physical Plant, and they will log it in and contact the appropriate people to come and take care of it as soon as possible.
I just got a call from Sandy at the Childcare Center that they're having an issue with ants, so we're going to go in and check in with Sandy, find out where these ants are at, and also do a thorough IPM inspection while I'm here. So let's go. Hi Sandy, I heard you had a call with the ant problem.
Hi Randall, yes I did. It's down in room 103.
Okay, we'll get it taken care of for you. Thanks. First thing I want to take a look at is to look back here to make sure there's no debris and no points of entry in the corner here. Everything seems to look pretty solid here. Trash can has a cover. Looks good. I don't see any kind of activity around here. The next thing I want to take a look at is to look at the entry points to make sure it's sealed for not only rodents but for any type of pest that could get in through here as well. And it seems to be sealed very good, and this is always an issue with a lot of places. Our door seals are bad, or they need door seals to be fixed. Everything seems to be sealed properly and looks like it's in really good shape. Next I want to take a look in this corner, pull this trash can out, see if we have any kind of activity. If anything's been dropped back behind here, that's always a good sign for ants. A lot of times you'll find a piece of fruit or something that has been left, and that will cause an easy way for ants or any kind of insect to enter. Looks like everything is sealed good and it's cleaned up from all debris, so it looks good. One thing that's critical to take a look at with trash cans is to make sure you take the lid off and look inside the liner, because a lot of times trash and different things, debris gets fallen in behind inside of this, and it's a good harborage point for any kind of fruit flies, ants. This should be cleaned out on a frequent basis. It appears to be it's been cleaned and it looks good, so they're doing what they're supposed to do. Something else we need to address as well is to check out this netting. There's been bird issues previously here, just to make sure it's still in place and there's no entry points for birds to begin nesting again. Make sure we take a look at this screening, make sure it is in proper shape and good for to keep from any birds doing any kind of nesting. It's been an issue here before, so we want to make sure that it's sealed properly and in good shape. And everything appears to be in good shape, and they shouldn't have any issues with any types of birds this year. When I do an exterior inspection, I always like to take a look up above to make sure that there's no types of nests or any kind of bee issue. Also, I like to take a look at the screening here to make sure that that's properly sealed, because that's a good entry point for them to get up inside. And it appears to be everything looks good. I don't see any type of stinging insects or any type of nests to take a look at. While doing my exterior inspection, I noticed that it looks like there's been some type of a bird issue previously with the droppings on the side. One thing to handle this would be to, once the eggs have hatched and there's nothing in the nest, remove the nest, clean it properly, and you could also place spikes up here to prevent this from occurring again. The next thing I want to take a look at is this drain to make sure it's properly sealed. And this is another good entry point for any type of insect. It appears to be pretty well sealed and not much of an access point for any type of insect to get through here. So it looks good. Here is a drain. As we looked at previously, the one that we looked at before was in great shape. This is one that needs an action plan. It looks like it's been hit by something and it came loose. It is a great entry point for insects to get into the building, so this would be something that needs to be addressed right away. Behind me we see some debris here. This is another good harborage area for insects and something that would need to be cleaned up as well to help prevent any kind of entry point or nesting near the building. All right, the next thing I want to take a look at is the screening here to make sure it's in good shape and that it's sealed, so no types of insects can get in the classroom. Everything appears to be properly sealed and still in good shape. I don't see any types of cracks and crevices around the windowsill as well, which can become an issue and a great entry point for pests. The next thing I want to take a look at is the sign outside on the exterior to make sure there's no type of nest or any type of bird activity. A lot of times you find nests in the letters, especially like in the C where it's rounded, they could fit in there. On top you'll see that possible bird droppings is a good sign that there's activity there previously. I really don't see any types of nests or stinging insects around the sign. Everything appears to be in good shape. Another area I want to take a look at is the dumpster, just to make sure that it's sealed properly, and also to look inside and check for any kind of stinging insects or wasps. This is usually a good area where they'll build nests at, and people will bring trash out and be stung. So to make sure everything looks pretty good. Something else you want to check on the dumpster is just to make sure that the lids, one, is closed, and two, it's sealed properly and fits the right way. This lid is on, it's been emptied recently, which is good, and it's sealed tight, so that's good. Something else you want to take a look at is behind to look for any type of rodent burrows. This is a good area for rats to be around the dumpster area and could cause problems for your facility. And it appears there's no activity. Everything looks pretty good here. Something that I noticed here while walking around the exterior of the building is the branches aren't touching the building yet, but it's close. This is something that would need to be addressed to be trimmed back, because this is a good entry point for types of insects, especially ants, carpenter ants. A lot of times they will travel on the branch onto the roof and make their way into the building. So this is something that would want to be cut down or trim back. Something else I noticed as well on my exterior inspection is mulch. Mulch is a good harborage point for insects, especially for termites. They love mulch, it's like candy to them. So I would recommend at least keeping the mulch down and away from the building, but if you could go with a different type of product, that would be highly recommended to cut down on any pest entry into your facility. Alright, as I work my way around the building, I noticed the pipes and everything coming out here. This is another good entry point for insects. You want to make sure everything's properly sealed and that there's no entryway in for them to get into the building. So you want to take a look and make sure everything's sealed properly. And if not, you need to let the right people know to get this corrected. Some of the sealant is actually broke off here, and this would probably need to be addressed to help prevent entry point for insects. Looking in here to make sure the screening is in good shape to prevent any type of flying insect or insects to get in. It's sealed properly and the screen is tight, so that's good. Here's an area that you could take a look at that obviously could use a little bit more of a sealant. There's some open spaces here for easy access, not only for insects but possibly rodents as well. Something else you want to take a look at, a lot of times you get flies and different types of flying insects inside the building. A lot of it has to do with the placement of the light and the color. A white light close to the door obviously going to be an attractant for any type of flying insects, which is going to lead them to be able to get inside with as many people that are coming in and out. So to help minimize that problem, one is better placement of lights, and also possibly use a different color light to help from attracting the flying insects. Here's actually a good example with the shrubs placement on the outside of a building. Typically you see shrubs up close to the building. These are far enough away, which is great. With the shrubs being close to the building, it's a great harborage point for rats and for mice. So having them away from the building is excellent and a good job by this facility. One area that's critical to look at a child care center is the outside, the playground area, especially during this time of the spring and summer for stinging insects. There's great actual areas here where they can build nests, and children could be in the way of being stung. So this is critical on your IPM inspection to make sure that you check thoroughly all the proper equipment outside and make sure it's free and clear of any types of nests and any types of insects. And this one is free and clear of any nests or any insects, so the children are safe to play. Another thing I noticed while out here doing the inspection is checking out the water table. One thing that's excellent about this is that the pipe here is sealed, so that will prevent any type of wasp or entry, which is excellent. Something else you want to be careful with water. This is done right properly because it's covered, but if it's left open, this is good harborage area for mosquito and the larvae to cause mosquito issues. So this is something else you want to take in consideration when doing your inspection. I want to do while I'm here, and we do on our every visit, is to inspect the bedding and take a look to make sure we don't see any types of signs of bed bugs, to stop it before, if there was an outbreak, to stop it before it got too bad. Something else you want to take a look at is the belongings, because if there is a problem with bed bugs and you do find it, you're going to have to keep everything bagged and separate, sealed, to be able to find the actual infestation where it came from. So it is a good idea that these are sealed like this, but you'll want to kind of inspect the lockers in each of the classrooms just to take a look to see if you see any kinds of signs for any type of bed bug activity. Normally I would take out a container and look at the contents in it to make sure that it's there's no signs of bed bug activity. Take a look at it. This is a good idea to do. The next area I want to inspect is the mini kitchen that's in between the classrooms that's used. I want to make sure that you try to keep it as picked up as possible and eliminate the clutter to make for a good inspection, to be able to find everything, and also to prevent any kind of harborage for any type of insects. Typically in this we would put out a couple monitor glue boards just to keep an idea if there is any activity, and to check them when we come back to make sure that they are pest free. The next area I want to take a look at is the sink area, just to make sure that it is sealed properly and that there's no type of any leaks from the pipes down below, because this is a good point for insects, especially roaches. And it appears that there are no type of leaks and everything is sealed the way it should be. Everything looks good. The next area I want to take a look at is the inside of the windows. When we did the exterior inspection, we looked at the exterior and checked out to make sure everything was sealed properly. Now we're going to look at the inside to make sure there's no types of cracks and crevices and that everything's sealed right. So we'll take a look here and see, make sure that the screen is in proper place and that there's no access point for insects, and everything appears to be sealed correctly. Something else I notice, here it's not an issue, but if you look, there's hanging plants. A lot of times there's plants by windows. This is a good opportunity for debris to fall out or water to spill. As you can tell, they've done a good job here. There's no issues, but this could cause different types of problems, including if there's a heater underneath here, it could cause mold eventually if the water was running down through. So it's something that you need to be aware of when handling plants. The next area I want to take a look at is the restroom. This is the kids' restroom in the classroom, just to inspect and make sure that everything's picked up and clean and that there's no types of leaks or any issues that need to be addressed as far as to prevent from insect entry. This room appears to be clean. The floor is clean. There's no type of debris or anything left over. There's no leaks at all, so everything's sealed properly. Next thing I want to take a look at is the trash can. Just like we looked at the trash can on the outside, it's equally important to check on the inside to make sure that there's no type of spillage in the can, that the can is cleaned out. So we'll take this bag out and take a look at it. It's important to inspect this once again just to make sure that there's no type of material or debris in here that would create a problem with fruit flies or any types of gnats in the classroom. And this trash can has been cleaned and looks in good shape. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, good.
I'm just here to do a normal routine inspection. I want to stop by and check the kitchen to see if you're having issues with anything.
Sure. Anytime we have any issues, we would call you immediately and you would take care of it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do an inspection. I'm going to place out a monitor just to make sure. That way it's here so when we come back next month to check to make sure you're not having any issues.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Check and make sure that stuff is away from the wall and look for any type of rodent droppings or insects here. Another thing I like to do is check these mats and make sure that they're dry and that they've been cleaned, because this is a good harborage point for types of fruit flies and gnats. If this gets built up and isn't cleaned, a lot of times they'll come from underneath here. Inspect. Everything looks good under here. It's clean. Check under here for any type of activity. I don't see anything. Again, you want to check the trash cans to make sure that they're clean, and check underneath to make sure that they've been emptied out as well. Appears to be fine. Also want to check the windows like we did before in the classroom just to make sure that they're properly sealed and the screens are in good shape to prevent any type of entry. They are. Check for any cracks and crevices as well, especially with the kitchen being a high area with everything insects need. You want to make sure that everything's sealed properly. Place a monitor out to make sure that there's no type of activity back here. We'll place it up against the wall. That way it's out of the way and we can come back and check it next month to see if there's been any activity since we've been here previously. Check behind the trash can for any type of debris or anything that's been spilled over, because that will be something that would cause insects, especially ants, to appear. Everything looks picked up and clean. I don't see any types of leaks coming from the sink. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Randall.
I'm all finished. Went to the classroom and checked out the answers. Actually, a candy wrapper outside of the trash can, so I picked that up. I put a couple monitor boards out just in case, but if you're still having problems, just give us a call and we'll be right back.
Okay, we'll do that.
Did a thorough inspection. Everything looks good. Something you want to keep an eye on with the fall coming, the rodents are going to start moving in, so if you guys see any type of activity or any signs at all, don't hesitate to give us a call. We'll come right back out.
We'll give you a call right away.
All right, and then they'll give you a copy of the service ticket for you to have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.